Bruchim Albayim to the Farbrengen, marking the 93rd wedding anniversary of the Rebbe and the Rebbetzin. B'meshach the years of the Rebbe's Chassidishe, when it came to special milestones, there was always a special Chassidus by Chassidim to mark it in a special way. Through matanis in Teda, in Staka, and in other ways, in order to make it to mark the day as the Rebbe and Rebbetzin would want. One of the main years of that there was big Chassidus was, I think if I'm not mistaken, the first year that there was Chassidus was the year Tafshin Chavtes. Then it was Arboim Shana from the Chassidishe, and Chassidim around the world sent in matanis in the misper, and the number of 40. 40 matanis in if either was in learning or in staka, and the Rebbe as a result of the Yisirus, the Rebbe verbringt that Yud Daled Kislev Shabbos, and as the Rebbe as well, he was Magia the Sicha in Yiddish and Lashon HaKodesh, and that actually led 3 years later, when it was Yud Alef Nisan Lamed Beis, many Chassidim around the world had that Hiserus again as in Chavtes, Yud Daled Kislev Chavtes. So that kind of opened the zinner to marking these the Rebbe's milestones. Without further ado, we would like to call up a Chassid who was a Bachar in 770 in that year Tafshin Chavtes, a Mashpia in Yeshivas Teim Chatim Merkazis, the Shlomo Zarchi. So verbring with us and take us back to those times. B'yam b'zman hazeh. The Shlomo Zarchi, please. Stand over here. Huh? Yeah. Yeah. Well, can I help you get up?
The first time Topsy Yud Daled, I was a young bachel. I remember something we were speaking about in the Gekochsach, but I was not involved in the Teichel in Yonim. But Chassidim haben the Gekochsach in the whole around the room, and after the famous word that you can't start Farbrengen for Yud Daled Kislev, without quoting the famous words from the Rebbe said in the end of the Farbrengen, at der Tag verbunden, ich mit euch, eigentlich ihr mit mir, ich will euch ermutigen, zusammen uns müssen in Mashiach zu kommen. Yeah. So this was a special word. Der Ihnen hat am Reinigung der Rebbe gesagt, in der Wede ist klar. Even though a Rebbe wird geboren, a Rebbe, but Begoli, was ist am Reinigung in der Wede ist klar, was the Chassidishe. There was a famous word, there was one, a Meise in Russia, and a Rebbe came to Chapel, a Friedrich Rebbe, the Rebbe is the same. So some the Israel Friedrich Rebbe, how does it work for you? It goes from a father to son, or who's royal get the Nishis. The Friedrich Rebbe entered the Eastern Russian, Patomazor, and the Friedrich Rebbe entry is both by us. It goes from father to son, and he's worth it. Es gibt beide Sachen. She's the oberste Macht, es gibt beide Sachen. It goes from the father to son, a schwer to an Eden, and he's royal also. Both things are true. As the famous story goes then, that they didn't know the Rebbe was going to bring them. The Rebbe came out suddenly from his room with a bottle of wine. He came into his shul, and he gave him Farbrengen. And so he goes, Bentzion was Farbrengen in 770. The Rabbi Scharf was in 770, and he went home. I think he went home to daven. There was so much noise in 770. The guy started to Farbrengen. He went home. On the way he met the Rebbe's mother. So the Rebbe's mother was Tushach in 770. So he entered a Bentzion to Farbrengen. After the Farbrengen, the Rebbe came home to visit his mother, and she told him from gehört, that Bentzion to Farbrengen today. Yeah. The Rebbe said, als upon what is ich Farbrengen, Bentzion to get the credit. Yeah. The Rebbe came out suddenly, and he verbracht, there was a special Farbrengen about Mendel Chassidishe and what a Chassidishe is, a special Chassidishe by the Rebbe. Yeah. We were from the Wochen in 770. Naschabov, Shapiro and me, we haben mir aufgetragen, ein paar Wochen fahren dann, a whole series in 770. There wasn't that many Wochen then, like today. Now in Shashem, the whole round there wasn't that many Wochen yet. Today, not only Wochen in 770. There's a lot of Wochen in the Bible, a lot of Wochen all over here. So we made a whole tumult. So we should learn for 40 hours, and 40 mamorim, get $40. The Hesach, alle Jahre, wie es geht, und wir getummelt. Sam der Mann, am meisten, that Woche, he's in Gan Eden, so sein, the Schuss von der Woche. He died not long ago when Corona, the meisten, it was a very fine Woche, and we spoke to him about it, $40 and 40 mamorim, 40 hours. He was masculine everything, but I don't $40. A bocher doesn't have to get $40. Well, I knew his bocher had some money. His bocher never spent any money. He didn't go buy a soda or a sandwich. He was not a spender. He was a... And Shlomo from that. Me and Naschabov spoke to him for hours, Saturday, to break this guy, his nature and his machshava. It didn't go. So one day, I still remember like today, the bang on the table. He came into a Chassidishe from 70, he threw a bag, and it made a noise on the table, a bang. What could be there already? I opened up the bag, I found his savings book. You can see his whole lifetime on this book. His Chanukah got when he was 5 years old and 6 years old, and his bar mitzvah money, became his years of bar mitzvah in camp. There was a counselor that paid $50, $60. You can see Chanukah money, everything. It was up to $3,200. And he gave the whole money away. And in the savings book, the list row was 000. I found for that again. He told to me, hey, du bist mir Masber. Was Yud Daled Kislev is. Da hab ich ein ganzer Tag gewohnt, ich habe $40, da hab ich ein ganzer Tag again. Hat er again, alt was a horse. And he's not an easy person to take out the money. Even later in life, when I say that, I thought, he's an ungerechnete person. But nirgends hat der Herr, was mir am Masber gewinnt, und das Gewolf hat gerät, da warum er geht in mir Lev. Er sagte, wie Irland mit Masber, was der Rebbe hat mir aufgetan, alle Jahre, mein ganzes Leben, komme ich zum Reden. Und in der Woche, ich warte nicht schon die Geld, ich gebe die ganze Geld für dich. She gave away 3,000, I forgot to have change it with. Diki was 000, the end numbers on the savings book. Yeah. Until today, I think I heard that bang on the table, he threw it from far. Then I clap up in Tisch. From East New York Savings Bank, that's the name of the bank. And I called upon him. So till today, I hear that clap, and it makes such his ear, a person, hepech, tive, in ganzen, and gave everything away. So a certain Hergisch, and he's in Gan Eden, that is sicher kommen zu uns, und especially Yud Daled Kislev, gefindet dich beim Rebbe, because this again is Gulen. And the famous story as it goes, there's once, I gave Yud Daled Kislev, but fine. I say then, and one person gave a person money, and he went for a business far away. Then one should have heard the money. They gave money to died. He was worried what happened to his money and got lost. After a few years, he was supposed to come to him, Ohel, and he said, no, before I died, I left this money, but this and this road, and this town. She asked him, why'd you come up now? Why didn't you come before? She said, it was Yud Daled Kislev, because Kislev, Yosef, and the Maggid, so all the Neshamas Shlomo the Chuis, is the Maggid Yosef, and the Maggid picked out all the Neshamas that were once by him, and that today I special favor. That's the Seder. When he came to my place, he first come over first before I do you a favor, you have to go to that eat and tell them where the money is. That's the kind of favor. But after I'm coming to you now, and I'm going to tell you. So, but he told to the Maggid, he said, only for the Neshamas that were once by you, I've never by you. So you don't know, when your mother was pregnant, she went into my business, or passed my business, and I saw you. So we see that the Rebbe connected not only the Maggid to the people that he saw and came into him, even that's when we saw that the Rebbe made sure to give a kuntris or $1 when the person was expecting a baby, even to the baby that she expected. And even when she didn't know she was expecting, the Rebbe gave also $1 for the baby you were expecting. The Rebbe wanted to reach Begashmis, every person he was able to reach. And the people that weren't there, when he saw them, he gave them $1. He saw all the neshamas that will come out from this person. So he gave $1 to all the neshamas, to all the people. Ze zeggen interessant dat de Rebbe Shab, bij de gasten de Filik Rebbe, which mine did he say mainly? The Rebbe ze kocht een Samach te Samach. Samach te Samach is which bracha? Is the sixth bracha. Which mine did the Filik Rebbe say on the Rebbe's gasten? Was Ashabor, the seventh bracha. Because they Hashvi, so the Rebbe, the Rebbe spoke, the Maimon that he said was the seventh bracha. Yeah. It was Tafshin Yuchav Beis. I just want to mention it because it's a younger bracha. Not every bracha was here Tafshin Yuchav Beis, right? Yuchav Beis 60 years ago. There's hardly any people here 60 years old. Maybe there is, or I don't know, they were there then. It was very interesting, the Shabbos was Yud Kislev Chav Beis. We hebben gesagt, 3 Mamorim in een Shabbos. And 3 Mamorim in een Shabbos, 60 years. And the only time the Rebbe said 3 Mamorim in one Shabbos was Yud Kislev Chav Beis. And with a Maimon with a Niggin. And there's only 2 Sichos and 3 Mamorim. With the Hechetinse, it should be more Mamorim than Sichos by Farbrengen. The Rebbe said 3 Mamorim. And 2 Sichos. And the Sichos was Sipurim of the Middle Rebbe. There was no Sichos. It was only stories from the Rishimis, as we see, stories of the Middle Rebbe. That's the whole Farbrengen was. And we have to say over the next day, fine, by Rabbi, Shaffi B'Sholem, the Apteach, V'Shimcha, Chesed with the Ferret, the Daled Dargis, fine. And Rebbe said for himself, before he said Rabbi, I never like today, he was saying it for himself, the Psukim. But the third Maimon was part of the Shalom. And part of the Shalom, the Rebbe brings down the Maimon of Chol Banayich L'mudi Hawaii. Why? Because the Yud Kislev, the Shabbos, is the Ufuf of the Rebbe also. And the Chol Banayich L'mudi Hawaii is the Maimon that the Rebbe said on the Rebbe's Ufuf, right? It was also interesting, when the Rebbe said Maimon of Chol Banayich L'mudi Hawaii, the next day he said he wanted to add a piece to the Maimon. At the Tati gekommen zum Ohel und gesagt, es war zulegen nach Stückchen Maimon. This whole story that the Rebbe stammt sich hat, the Maimon, part of the Shalom, the famous story, that's in Hayem, a piece of it, Achosel Abalaskola is reingekommen zum Tzemach Tzedek und gekocht sich zu einem, am Mitresse von dem Beis Hamedisch. Zum Tzedek answering very sharp, wer heißt Mishpaschen an Gan Beis Hamedisch, aber mir geht treffen auf dir. The Rebbe was speaking to Maimon, why did the Tzedek answer? And he said, very Mishpaschen ganz ein bisschen Hamedisch, als jeder darf sein, Yosef Rosh Zarchi, als jeder darf sein, ich, ob in Machshavei, ob in Eim, aber Keich HaYesh, da verlassen die Yeshes. So the Rebbe asked the Maimon, why did Tzedek answer so hard? He said, as you clocked up from Beis Hamedisch, was it the Beis Hamedisch? En ik blok het dan zo halach. De eeuwigste doffen door. Geht rein met je gids, was je gids geht rein je gids, als je redt, bezwaarde sa kedenis. Is some stereo we spoke about. In Yechidis, und Yechide redt mit Yechide, was badet dann? Als je doch aan de twijfel van een beetje hebben. Dus ook ja, zo als je daar kijkt, daar Jezus is op een mag je wezen. We hebben gezegd dat we zullen resperen. Dan gaat vraag masker, dan gaat wel met masker, wat de Rebbe genoemd, dat kennen we de Rebbe dan al van masker. We hebben gezegd dat we iedereen gangen naar Yechidis. En nog bij twee, was Yechidis, Yechide geht er aan Yechide. En ik vraag me, had een kwestie van de peren en het me Abgeven Furnish. Atomim. Was antwortet, wenn ich hier fragt an, sie hat eine Quiste mit Pera, abgeven Furnish. Der zweite gewann ein bisschen älter. Und mich hier, der geht rein, ich hier, der was gesagt. Und ich hier, ein hier, der fragt uns, ich hier, hat Quiste mit Pera, und hat der Weiber vom Furnish. Edel, nicht nur die Sprache davor, ja. Kopf, der Rebbe sagt, mein, mir schwarz sagt, was ich hier sehe. Der Rebbe sagt, und nach Ohren, ich weiß, Mysterien. Der Bewusst ist ein Mysterien. Verbringen, dass ich, was Mamisch, das ist ein Quellbruch und Atmen. Aber Kopf von ihm, so, der Rebbe gerät, sagt, der Meime ist das in Yud Kislev, begreifen, aufrufen nicht, ja. Dreimal morgen, ja, Pein. Aber Kopf von ihm, der Rebbe wird viel lange Test, als 54 Jahre nach der Chassidische von der Friedrich Rebbe, als wir nach Schädelbach mit reingezogen und Friedrich Rebbe am Matone jeden Tag. Was mir gedrückt als Schäfer, als Schäfer. Und ich hielt damals in lange Test, ich gehe mit Rebbe, jeden Mann, als Schäfer, als Schäfer, was gut was mir sagt, ich bin, wenn es Yud Daled Kislev, weil der Rebbe, sie kommen von sehr spät, namens Chassidishe, ja. Wir haben gesagt, Freitag bei Nacht von meinem Vater gegangen, ja. Später Schabbat bei Tag, und mit so Schabbat gesagt von meinem. Schabbat bei Tag, meinem angefangen, Zitkel persönlich wie Israel. Und wir müssen haben angefangen, also angefangen, von Wasser gegangen. With meinem hour and 10 minutes, a long meinem. Und so Schabbat begann Wasser gegangen. So all forth, why the Rebbe started the meinem Schabbat by day, you schwarz, Zitkes persönlich be so. It was Friday, good, but Zitkes persönlich be so. Some say it was the worst possible in that fair and partial besalig, Zitkes persönlich so. But it's not a reason. Could it was, and the Rebbe Shevebrach is Yud Daled Kislev, Peters, to figure Rebbe made a special Farbrengen. They said we together for the whole Shabbos, and the Rebbe was not in Vars, it was in a stretchel. And the Rebbe together verbracht, only the Gordon were invited. It was a special Farbrengen. The Rebbe said, then the Maimah, we see in the contraction, on the basis of Pearson. That was the Maimah, Yud Daled Kislev, Peters. And that Maimah, the Rebbe speaks about, the Melech, and Tav, and the Sochen, on the Choma, you know, was all the Eitzos. So the Rebbe spoke on the Shevebrachas of the Rebbe, of Yud Daled Kislev. He spoke in the good of Yud Shvat, at the Kesher, that the Rebbe said Yud Shvat, the mind, it's Yud Perzene, the Kesher from the Shevebrachas and Yud Shvat. That's all verbunden. It's not. Yud Daled Kislev is one thing, Yud Shvat is another thing. This is one that could the Inne from Melech, and Tzad, and Tzach, and Mechoma, and Nevada, all the Eitzers, Otzwa, Beisa, Avia, Beisa, with Nevada, with the Melech, Mamid, Asher, and Bisakone, the ganze Inne was Retzach, but it speaks about in the Marshal. So that's in Inne from Daled Kislev, that's from the Rebbe. We all know that Topshin Yud, who pushed the Rebbe to take the Nisis for prayer? Was the Rebbe. All the people asked in the Alm with Tom everything they can do. But who pushed the pale the Rebbe should take the Nisis? The Rebbe told the Rebbe, if you're not going to take the Nisis, everything my father worked for will go Leibud. You're the only one that could hold up the only union of my father. So you have to make up your mind. You want my father's union should go Leibud. So this was the last thing that pushed the Rebbe to take the Nisis. So Yud Daled Kislev is the Chassidishe from the Rebbe and the Rebbetzins. The Rebbetzins is very involved in the Rebbe taking Nisis, and all the years of Nisis, she was hidden, but she only felt only young. Everybody knows inyanim that people even speak about, that people call the Rebbe's house 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, the kochen, the fashes, the inyanim, and the Rebbe always answered the phone and made the person feel very good, shouldn't feel bad. He called him at night. And she went to the Rebbe and got an answer for the person closed, so you could call back, you don't understand, call in the morning. She made everybody feel very, very good. And the people who were close to her, she used to call later how the person feels. V'chulu, v'chulu. So the Rebbe, when the Rebbe heard that somebody, the Rebbe gave me drained the cup by a Farbrengen to turn over the cost, the Rebbe turned over the cost right away. She was a very big Chassidishe of the Rebbe. The things that the Rebbe spoke about a month, she was verkocht in these inyanim, in her way. And she hid all the things when she was not well. She hid from the Rebbe. The Rebbe should not have agnes nefesh. The Rebbe should be able to go on with his work. Even when the Rebbe came home, the Rebbe did not let anybody open up his mail. But the Rebbe used to open up the mail and make piles. And the half an hour that the Rebbe was in the house, officially to eat, a lot of days he fasted, he didn't eat, but when he did eat, the Rebbe was giving him papers, and the Rebbe was answering, besides the Meisha, that half an hour, the Rebbe was answering a letter. That's why certain answer came back for Shmirta, and then we gave him a Maima, a Sukkot, the Rishima, Chav Zion, Yale, worked the whole night to shine a Rabbi. Came back a Mugadik page with the sheets from the fats of Shana Rabbi, from the Krepchach, with someone. The 15 minutes that he was home, the Rebbe was helping him with zettlach from the table. She went back and forth, Rebbe into another zettel. The Rebbe came Sunset, he always came with answers after he went home. So the Rebbe was involved in all inyanim, the whole inyanim. So this is Yud Daled Kislev. This is the shoot from the Rebbe, and the Rebbe and the Ramakib, their lives. And that's what we're all here, because our Zaydas and our fathers and us, they were mason nefesh for them, and they helped them in all the inyanim. And the Rebbe said in the first mimer that he's going to bother him and he'll help how much he can. He wants, he helped every chassid and every person and every shliach. He carried everybody on his head, on his heart, and he shared it with the Rebbe, and the Rebbe was involved on a lot of these inyanim also. So today is a special day, Yud Daled Kislev, to talk for his kashos, the day that the Rebbe always used to say in the last 8 years, Shabbos Wochen Kislev, das geht Chassidishe Kislev, Pes Kislev, Yud Kislev, die Pes Kislev Chaneke, und kein Messiah bei Shlomo, Yud Daled Kislev. Der Yud Daled Kislev Kislev ist der kein Messiah bei Shlomo von allen Yonim Kislev. I'm not going to test Kislev, and this test Kislev, and Yud Kislev. But where is the kein Messiah bei Shlomo, and only Yonim Kislev, was es Zeichen zu uns, ist der Yud Daled Kislev, das kein Messiah bei Shlomo, die ganze Inne von Chassidus und Hafotze und Ashpoe. It made this that talk that the Rebbe tracked in all Chassidim. As we said before, the story with the Maggid, all neshamas lined up, and every Chassid was warned by the Rebbe. If he did something, the Rebbe calls him out. He does him a favor, and doesn't only him a favor. Everybody that he'll matter, everybody's lined up, and these are the Yemei Gula. The Rebbe looks around every chassid and every bocher, and he helps him wherever he can help him. But the middle time was not that time. It's up to stop. All these inyanim, Yud Daled Kislev, and Pes Kislev, that's also the Sheva bochers of the Rebbe, Tzidke Perzenium B'Yisrael, Pearson bin Umitz, and the ganze Marshal HaMelech, Maimet Aslan B'Sakone, B'Stretach Maimer, in the concentration. The Melech Maimet Aslan B'Sakone is from the Tzachon HaMachomen, so we have to know the Rebbe gave away his life for everyone. As the other ones cried by Farbrengen, who said the Marshal had to go till the end? HaMelech Maimet Aslan B'Sakone, we could have stopped before. If we did what we have to do, it didn't have to go till it. Good. And God, the Eitzah. The scene of HaMelech Aslan B'Sakone, we have a little bit of chelik in that, because we didn't do what we have to do. So I call upon him, Heim Techal Feire Bochum, in life, Yud Daled Kislev, Nanten HaHiseres, und eine Schuke, ein Sennenreben, ein Ton. Nicht Ton, man tut für sich. Man tut, ich sage das so, der Rebbe kennt mich auf Ohel, der Rebbe gibt jeder einen Nefesh auf Bossa, beruchen, begeistern, beruchen ist, man kann alle tanzen zusammen, zum Schicht kennen. Aber der Rebbe hat dazu gelegt in den Brief, mit dem Mann, der Draftsche Report, Wirke, in Regime von Katzman steht, als ich werde, ich will Kudi, bei der Katzman, der Rebbe Enten, der Wirke, gut. Im Sich ein Nächte von der Nacht, man alle Tanten dann, ja. Moet je wennen dan nog? Ja, natuurlijk. Rabbi. He told me I should take 15, 20 minutes. That's what he told me.
I know, whatever. One thing gets Yud.
Huh? Come a second. Who's taking me back? That's the Farbrengen.
Oh?
You promised me to take me back. Huh? You heard my speech? You like it? You like it? I just speak loud.
You get up? No. You have to ask Lanim. Yashakeach, Reb Shlomo. Reb Shlomo mentioned earlier about the Farbrengen of Yud Daled Kislev Tafshin Lavan Tes, which marked the Yovel Shana from the Rebbe and the Rebbe's Chassidishe. At that Farbrengen, the Rebbe says that the concept of marking an anniversary isn't found in previous generations. And the Rebbe speaks about the concept, the Gemara speaks, that when a person moves into a city or a new country, they adopt the customs of the city, obviously Api Shulchan Aruch, Api Torah, and Api Zeh, the Rebbe verbringt with Chassidim. It's very interesting. The Rebbe says, "Gefindt man mit sitzt mit bnei המשפחה, ידידים ואוהבים." So it's three categories. Mit dem kann man verbringen ein bisschen of the three inyanim which the Rebbe mentions, bekasher to who our anniversary is marked with. Bnei המשפחה, ידידים ואוהבים, which obviously for every chassid should take it very personal. That's such a personal day that Rebbe decided to spend with us and share Teda with us and fight in this special day with us. At that Farbrengen, like Rabbi Shlomo mentioned earlier, the Rebbe spoke about the Fitik Rebbe's 50th anniversary in Tafshin Zayin. From Tafresh Nun Zayin to Tafshin Zayin was 50 years. And the Rebbe spoke to Farbrengen Lamates that he used to go in every day of the Sheva Brachis in common with a new printed Kuntris or Sefer, bekasher to the Yemei Sheva Brachis. That night, there was a Farbrengen in the next night. Actually, this Farbrengen was early Yud Daled. The next night there was a Farbrengen with Chassidim, and a report was brought into the Rebbe following that Farbrengen about all the accounts of them. And the Rebbe answered, as was going around in the last few years, that in everything mentioned in the Duch was a lapella that the Inin of Maraktin, which the Gemara speaks about, Menegei Chasna, wasn't mentioned. So we see from here that although the Taka spoke about Hafatzin Yonanas and it spoke about Hisafa, Nigla, and Chassidus, and all the Inyanim, which the Rebbe want, and the Rebbe would want from Chassidim to bring about, the Rebbe wanted there should be Maraktin dancing, meaning that every Chassid should take this day, this anniversary in a personal way. Meaning everything, every other Yom Tepagras, Taka, Divri Serdus, and everything else is Taka Negea, and this is what's Montzich Taka. But when it comes the day of the Rebbe's Chasana, it should be a personal feeling, a personal hergish, as Mils Onhaven Tanzen. I heard from Rabbi Krinsky that the next morning, when he picked up the Rebbe, he told the Rebbe that Shluchim came and Farbrengen till Era Baker, Dr. L'chaim, who was ganz Freilach. And the Rebbe had a bright smile, and was obviously a sign of satisfaction from the Chassidim marking the day. So we'd like to call up the next speaker, a shliach of the Rebbe, who was sent to the Rebbe in Eretz Yisrael, to Ashkelon, Mendel Lieberman, to share with us Divrei Sederus, bekesher to Yud Daled Kislev. Rabbi Lieberman.
Okay, thank you to the wonderful Manche, to the wonderful Emcee, and thank you, Rav Shlomo, for the wonderful Farbrengen that we don't zeichen to have in Eretz Yisrael. L'chaim, Rabbi Yisai. L'chaim. Yishkayach that we're not zeichen to have in Eretz Yisrael such wonderful Farbrengens and such wonderful Gedanken and Hayonis and Zichreines. So I'll have to share with you Farbrengen like we Farbrengen Ashkelon, like we have for our Eilim that we have in Ashkelon. Truth of the matter is that, they tell a story about a community that just chose a rabbi here in America, that chose a rabbi. And the rabbi is, as usual in the community, goes ahead and he gives a drasha. And Shabbos, he gives a drasha. Before Leinin, gives a wonderful drasha. In any case, a week goes by, and it's once again Shabbos. And the new rabbi, what does he have to do? He has to give again a drasha. And let me tell you, my friends, he gives the same drasha that he gave the last week, verbatim. Word for word, every single word, the same drasha that he gave last week. Comes the third week, and he gives a drasha, and once again gives exactly the same drasha that he gave the first week and the second week. No, the president of the community comes over to the rabbi and says, very nice, we really enjoyed the drasha, but once, it's good, twice, but 3 times to repeat the same drasha again and again, it's a little bit more than enough. So the rabbi tells him, my friends, I gave the drasha once, gave the drasha again, and I didn't see anybody do anything about it. I didn't see that you fulfilled what I asked you to do in the drasha. So I had to give the drasha again and again until you do something funny about it. So actually, I was here, Baruch Hashem, last year or several years ago, and we spoke about this idea. And once again, the same idea that we heard from Rebbe Shlomo. Like, for example, why are we celebrating Yud Daled Kislev? What's the occasion of Yud Daled Kislev? Is there many people that will tell us, what do you mean? The Rebbe and the Rebbetzin, they got married on Yud Daled Kislev. Obviously, it's a reason for us to celebrate. Well, it's the same people that probably think that Yud Daled Kislev we celebrate because the Alter Rebbe went out of jail. And Tes Kislev we celebrate because the Mittler Rebbe went out of jail. And Chanukah we celebrate because there was miracle with this Pach HaShemen. My friends, there couldn't be anything further than the truth. There couldn't be anything further than the truth. They tell a story, that sometimes you're missing the point. They tell a story about that there was once a community in the Altstadt, in the old city, that in Europe, in the old country, that certain little shtetl, they didn't have a rav in the shtetl. And what happened in that particular shtetl, from time to time a maggid would come to that shtetl and give a drasha. They would hang up signs, Tzadik Boleir, and everybody would gather together that I know Wednesday night everybody should come to the shul to hear the drasha. And after they hear the drasha, then the person who gave the drasha, the maggid, would go from home to home and collect a couple of dollars, I don't know, a ruble, whatever it was, and this is how we live. In any case, he comes to this little town and he makes signs, Tzadik Boleir, and everybody gathered over there in the town to hear the drasha from the maggid. And he starts giving his drasha, and all of a sudden he notices that there's this gentleman sitting over there in the corner near the back of the shul, and he's giving his drasha, and that poor person starts crying. Mamish nishpach, gegossen von Tränen, he starts crying and crying and crying. Well, the Maggid sees that this person, that this drasha is really, this drasha really affects him, so he gets more involved in the drasha. Instead of getting the drasha for a half hour, he gets for 45 minutes, 50 minutes, he's giving his drasha, it's really, and this person stands and is crying and crying. Comes at night, and the next day goes from house to house to collect a couple of dollars, knocks on the door of one of the homes. Oh, this is the person that was crying, that was so moved by his drasha. Invites him into the house for a cup of tea, sits and drinking tea together. Then he asks him, what was it over there by the drasha that I gave? Was it there a Seder Numen, that caused you to be moved so emotionally, that caused you to be so taken? So he tells him, when I was a little boy, my father gave me a goat, a kid. B'meshech the yarn, the kid grew up. And I was very, very close and very attached to this goat. Now, this goat died 2 weeks ago. And you're standing over there with your white beard going up and down. That reminded me of the goat. I started crying. Sometimes we miss the point. Sometimes when we hear a drasha, sometimes we hear a, they tell the story. And the same is true, I think, with Yud Daled Kislev, and not only Yud Daled Kislev, but all the days of the Kislev. Like Rabbi Shlomo mentioned, they tell the story about Bibi. Bibi one time came to the airport in Israel, and ihm hat herumgekuscht and herumgenommen and hugged him and kissed him. So Bibi says, oh, that's very nice. I really appreciate the friendship. But why hugging? So he says, in my eyes, you're like a Sefer Torah. You're like a Sefer Torah. She's like a Sefer Torah. Why like a Sefer Torah? He says, every week a new parsha. By us, it's not every week a new parsha. The Rebbe taught us that it's all one continuum. all the days of Kislev. It's not everything a new parsha. Like Rabbi Shlomo explained to us, the Yud Daled Kislev, Yud Shvat, and everything, it's all connected. Similarly, everything that lies in the month of Kislev, and not everything that lies in the month of Kislev, is connected to Parshas Shavua, it's connected to continuum that there is throughout the year. It's one flow. It's one connection that there is between all these things. And perhaps one of the things that we know about Kislev is, go into it, what's the secret that lies behind the month of Kislev? Is what's the mazel of the month of Kislev? And mazel, what's the word mazel? Mazel comes from nozel, from the word fluid. So in modern English, it's the flow of the month. What's the mazel of the month? And many things are explained by the mazel. So the mazel of the month of Kislev is the bow. What does it mean, the bow? So the Emcee explains about the bow that we see in Parshas Noach. How is the rainbow? How is the rainbow a bris between the Eibishter and the mankind during the and that he's not going to bring any more a flood in the world? So the Emcee explains a very important idea, because what is a rainbow? A rainbow is when there's drops of water in the sky and the sun shines, and the drops of water cause that the light that comes from the shine should refract and get broken up, and then you see the beautiful colors of the rainbow. So one of the secrets of the rainbow is that if it's a very, very cloudy day, and the clouds make that the sky should be opaque, and the rays of the sun cannot come to the earth.
I'm sorry, I have to go.
No. You don't have to excuse yourself.
No, I would love to share.
Okay. What? So what's the rays of the sun? What's the idea behind the rainbow? So when it's very opaque and the sun shines, what do we see? We see nothing. There is no rainbow. And then when it's a very clear day, when there's a very clear day and there is no clouds in the sky and the sun has no difficulty and challenge in reaching the earth, you don't see a rainbow either. When do you see a rainbow? When is the beautiful lights of the colors of the rainbow revealed? Only when there's a challenge. Only when there's clouds. Only when there's an obstacle. And the sun cannot come directly to the earth. But the sun overcomes that challenge. The sun overcomes the darkness. Then all of a sudden, the wonderful pnimius, the beauty of the pnimius is suddenly revealed. That is the secret of the rainbow. And that's the secret of Chassidishe Kislev. That each one of these obstacles and each one of the challenges that the Rebbe made, and also the story of Hanukkah, is that in spite of the fact there's obstacles, in spite of the fact that there's challenges, in spite of the fact that there's difficulty in arriving at the destination that you wanted to go, nevertheless the obstacles are there to make us stronger. The obstacles are there in order for us to grow. How does the Rebbe explain that the sea and the entire purpose and the higher direction that we go during the entire month of Tishrei, the entire work that we do, Rosh Hashanah, says Yom Tshuva, Yom Kippur, Simchas Yesukis, Shana Rabbah, Simchas Torah, and even the Akofis of Simchas Torah is in order for what? In order for us to make the statement in Yel, Vayi Erev, Vayi Boiker, Yom Echad, Vayi Erev, Vayi Boiker, Yom Sheni. What's this announcement? What are we announcing? Vayi Erev, Vayi Boiker. But the Rebbe tells us, no. We're about to go into the month of Cheshvan. Cheshvan is a month of challenges. There's no Yontif. It's a month of darkest. The only way that you can come to Boker is if you have an Erev beforehand. The only way to reach a new level of revelation is only if you have an Erev beforehand. Only through having Vayehi Erev in the month of Cheshvan can we have a new Boker in the month of Kislev. Only through overcoming the challenges that we have, and it's again and again. It's Yom Echad, Yom Sheni, Yom Shlishi. Our entire life is Vayehi Erev. Oh, but then we can reach a new level of Boker. We're not going to understand. If we would have understood the Chumash, we wouldn't have Mishnayos. If we would have understood the Mishnayos, we would never have Gemara. If we would have understood the Gemara properly, then we would never have the Rishonim and the Poskim and everything and all the wealth of beauty of the rainbow that came as a result. And as it says very explicitly in our week's parsha, Moshe Yaakov Avinu tells to the angel, that they had this big fight between the angel. It came time for the angel that he had to go. What do you mean? He just had a fight with him. He wanted to kill him. He wanted to destroy Yaakov Avinu. How is it possible that he wanted to destroy Yaakov Avinu? How is that all of a sudden he's asking him for a bracha? Is that who he has to ask for a bracha? But the answer is the same answer, my friends. When we have a challenge, the only way you want to get away from the challenge is only in berachtani, is only if I have a new level of bracha, a new level of revelation, if I'm able to reach a higher level. And that's perhaps the secret of Yud Kislev, the entire month of Kislev, which that includes also, of course, Yud Daled Kislev. Yud Daled Kislev, we know, well, we mentioned that that's the day that the Rebbe got married to the Rebbetzin. But it's not the day. First of all, like mentioned before, that we don't celebrate these days because they happened, I don't know, it's Kislev a couple 100 years ago. The Rebbe got married close to 100 years ago. No, we don't celebrate these days because they took place many years ago. We celebrate today because today is the day we can get additional kaiches, additional energy, additional light in these very aspects of that particular day. The fact that the Alter Rebbe went out of jail, Yud Daled Kislev, teaches us what is this day. This day is a day not now, not from 100 years ago, but since Ma'aseh Bereishis, Yud Daled Kislev is a day. Since Ma'aseh Bereishis, Yud Daled Kislev is a day. We're not celebrating days that took place many years ago, but we're celebrating the day, and the responsibility is upon us to utilize the day today. Not only zichronis, but wow, to internalize the secret of the day. And what's perhaps one of the secrets of the day is that when we go ahead and get married, and I don't know, the Bachram haven't gotten married yet, but you've been by chasanas. And one of the brachas that you make by a chasana is Baruch Atah Hashem Yotzer Adam. Why do we make this bracha Yotzer Adam by a chasana? You know, as soon as the baby is born, you should make the bracha Yotzer Adam. Okay, you don't want maybe that the baby shouldn't care, that parents can make a bracha, but for sure when you get bar mitzvah, maybe you should have made the bracha Yotzer Adam when you got bar mitzvah. Why do you wait till you get married, till you're able to say Yotzer, till you make the bracha Yotzer Adam? Well, one reason is that, you know, Zochav in a cave of Baram, that once again, you cause that there should be a male and female. But let me tell you a secret of a chasana. Many people think that when they get married, they're going into a partnership. And when you go into a partnership, then everybody invests in building the business. And some people think a chasana is also a partnership. Two people get together to build a Jewish home. My friends, nothing could be further than the truth. Because when you go into a partnership, every partner expects to get out of the partnership more than what he invests, more than what he puts in. When you get married, it's a question of giving unequivocally, of giving without limitation. It's just complete giving yourself 100%. And that's what happened Yud Daled Kislev. Yud Daled Kislev, like Rav Zarchi mentioned, that's because of the Chassidishe the Rebbe said that that was the pivotal point that made the Rebbe decide, just to give himself over. When the Rebbe decided to become Rebbe, it was just a complete self-sacrifice, just completely giving himself over to the without any regard to what he stands to lose as a result of that. We too have to walk in that same way. And we too have to take from Yud Daled Kislev to be ready to give ourselves over completely, without any regard what we may get, regard what may be the result. And so, if we really go in that way and give ourselves over to the inyanim that the Rebbe asked us to do, there's no question that Zuzammen wird wir können durchführen, kommen vom Mashiach, beim Herr wie Amen. Amen.
Yashakayach Rabbi Lieberman, for the Hartike Werter, please direct your attention to the screens. We'll watch a video of the Rebbe Bekesher to Yud Daled Kislev. If someone can please close the lights.
Abishas 10 Nieden kleiben sich zusammen. Allahs bekama, mehr v'chulu. Aber viele schöne Meskin beteiro mitzvah. Is demalt de Gilo Haschina fazei viel als Malach wollte gefunden, bisschen Maimed wird Bottel geworden mit Yosef. Allahs bekama, als do der Inen von Nesek beteiro mitzvah. Allahs bekama, die Svado sind zustand gekommen, kedese soll zukommen, beteiro mitzvah, bisschen Maimed, und nechet hat Beteiro Mitzvahs als Atrizor von der Messe Maimed von der Isvadus. Afal Pikein darf man doch haben Matam, was etwas mal jemayim, und se darf sich sein, der Rentverabdruf, wie bei allen Unionen von Aiden, ist Tachel bei Reiser gefunden Abdruf am Moker in Teira. Was lichiere auf Drufe Zacheche dort der Siyum von dem Mechele Kera Chaim von Shulchan Aruch. Veteiv Leiv Mishtei Tomid, aber Afal Pi, was ist dort der Hero von Ramo, ist auch nicht der Derech, als soll sein Mishtei Tomid bechol jem ve jem, Bishase kommt la Mishtei, so demol darf man haben, den Biur Omur Yeseda Kol Ponim Aremes in Teiro, ab dem Zusammenkommen sich bis in der Neven von Mischte. Was Lichiere hat dem Inje, als Inje, als kommt jem HaChassen, sollen sich demut zusammenkleiden. Und Neche sollen sich zusammenkleiden, bekama Evin wie Yedidim, bekama Mekemes. Und das soll bringen, sei es Vadus mit der Mischte v'chulu, darf man sich suchen, der Remes beser beteira. Al kolponim beifenschel Remes. Es ist schwer zu gefunden bei einer Gehe von Rabbi Nisieno, was nicht bei jeder von sie, ist gewähnte Metzius von Ayevul Shonim, Nachher החתונה, bei die, was sie ja gewähnt, die Metzius, weiß man sich nicht, wie sie gewähnt, an Hogosso, in einem Neffen Proti, und wie die Nesider Reinhardt mit Galle gewähnt, bekama an Hogis, was einen gewähnt mit Deil, wie Beis Rabbeinu, und was nicht mit Farsen gewähnt, Mese Sibische Jie, erst bis Mann, wie sagt, wenn sie gekommen, das Mann am Maskenlose, hat sie mit Farsen gewähnt. Wo der Remes Bose Beteiro ist auch das, was sagt in Medisch, und Chassidis bringt das auf, בכמה מקיימס, Assis lekarte azal binimusse. Und mir sagt das, dass sie da in beide Ifane, sei das ist in der Nefen mit Matole Meile, als kommt in einer hecheren Karte. Und demult ist da die Lechiere, die Hero, als sagt, was hecher von ihm. Ist nicht an jeder Hidur und Minig darf sich hochhaben. Und kemevui Baruch und die Sibis beteimim shebedover in die Sichis, was reden wegen dem, es afal pikein, wenn Meshe Ola lehar, wir lernen toppe Medrisch, is lechen lejochel und mayim leshoso, sagt der Medrisch den Tam, asis lekarte as albinimusse. Al derer sehr eichet, wenn das kommt mit der Meiler lehmato, konne sich teinen und trachten, dass Jeride ist dolich jeder auf drauf, als sie darf sein, Chumre Hamokim Sheholach Mishom. A viele, als kommt in einen anderen Ort, bringt man sich die Reihe von Malochim, Bavromen, Vayechle, Vayishtu, wo Massis Likarte, als Albinimusse. Was mir sagt, der Ninak von Bnei Israel, במדינה זו ונחת בכמה מדינות, אז kommt der Jema Chassidishe בפרט, in Jema Chassidishe, was verbunden mit der Mispachone Mesuyom, ist demut macht man zusammen, kleibt man sich zusammen, die Bnei המשפחה, ידידים ואוהבים וכולו, und mit demut Ajinje, was משמח ומעודד, איש רעהו, ואשה יוסף בכל העניונים ומזצח in der מנהג המדינה. Als kommt aber zu Yidden, was gedenkt sich allemal oder darf gedenken allemal, als der Psag Dine Shulchan Aruch, als kol maasecha l'shem shomayim, ובכל דרכיך דואהו, הלך כמה וכמה in העניין, was sich משתתף, in a Nefen, was a Schinte Scharia, und a Schinte in a Nefen Achi Niflo, wie der alte Rebbe sagt in Igeres Akedisch, ist doch a sichere Sache, das darf sein verbunden mit a Linien von Leshem Shomayim, bis in a Nefen von Ohel, wie der alte Rebbe im Masber Inyan Adas in Sefer Tani Katzman, beperig Shlishi, das heißt Chaskus und heißt Kashrus bechezek, bis es kommt a Reis a Heloda von Ava vanafer, Vira vanafer, was wäre der noch Mamshich, is Avoi das Asherish Moker al kol mitzvah sesse, und Jire das Asherish Moker al kol mitzvah leisesse, wo das ist der Kelel kol Chaye Hoodam, לכל פרוטיהם ופרוטי פרוטיהם, ist demut wird das המנהג, was bringt noch den Männer Israel Teru, Eiche zu Teru kepschuto, Sofa in Limud Teru und in Limud Mevili die meisten Hidur, bekim ha-mitzvahs,
Voll Anas, voller Spielen, alle gute Freunde. Schön, voll Anas, voller Spielen, alle gute Freunde. Schön, Chabad, alle zu gehen. Chassidishe und das Chaine, hat die Art, und so hat es Gule, dem Tag, und der Rat, mit dem Tag, der Rebbe gerät, hat das ein Tag, und damals hat zugebunden zu uns, und uns zum Rebbe, und dem Rebbe zu alle Rebbes, und das Gauer werden quält Hashem.
Amen. Zum allerbesten ist ich kol hamivorach, misborach, was Teire sagt. Ich will chossisch ala Kodesh Baruch Hu, und das in Meruba al Hoiker, Alachas Kama Bekama, das ist nach Chassidischen Chassidishe wie Chassidishe Kislev. So kommt Teike von Miyad, die Gula Hamitis war Shlomo von Binoreinu bis Kenenu, ob Bibaneinu, Bibneseinu, man nimmt Teichet mit, Kol Hoelam Kule. In die Gula Hamitis war Shlomo bepashtus, Lamata Masorot Tfochim, Teike von Miyad Mama.
L'chaim, a good yamtiv. B'shem the ma'agnim, we would like to thank the Vad Ervechem for bringing Mesader this Farbrengen, and Moshe Rabashkin for sponsoring the Farbison and the food and everything else, to making this Farbrengen a beautiful Farbrengen for those who are here live in person and those who are watching on the broadcast. Before we continue to the next speaker, in addition to celebrating Yud Daled Kislev tonight, Chassidim are also preparing for Yud Aleph Nisan, Me'av Esrim Shana, which Kiyudua b'meshrech Hashanim, the Yiseridos before, as we mentioned earlier, before a big milestone, by a Chassid was almost b'derech b'meila, medaf epistan. This year, many shluchim and many bachrim and chassidim the world over are preparing different matanis through meistes, through limud hatera, through tzedakah, in the inyanim of Me'av Esrim, l'chaved Yud Aleph Nisan. And I would just like to share an answer which was recently discovered b'kesher to Yud Aleph Nisan, Shnas Shivim, which was discussed earlier. This Maina was written in a response to a report which Tzidei Gudus Chabad wrote into the Rebbe in Kayitz Tafshin Lamed Beis, the summer of 1972, writing to the Rebbe about a Shabbaton, which Tzach organized for students in Crown Heights. It wasn't the regular Pekisha, it was more of a smaller one, but regardless, this is how the Shabbaton was about. The Rebbe answered to that duch, together with the numbers of Mishtatzvim, the following. Niskabel v'tach lahachzer. Kedai lachker ulevarer hasiba. Lama lo yhoya mispar hamishtatzvim rav yeser. Ubefrat shalachreina haisa persema Rabbi Binyani Labavich. Shnas hashivim v'chulu. V'lamrei zeh al menas l'sakim kidarush. So we see from this minor, which Bashkacha process was just discovered recently, that when it comes to time Shnas Shivim, or now Halachas Kam Meir Esim Shana, can move on the Rebbe month, Azoy Phil, Bekash to his Privata day. We would like to call upon Yid, which was Zeichet to be there in the Shnas Yevel from Tafshel Lamed Tes, and as well as someone who was very involved with Pulos Tzidek Gudas Chabad throughout the year, Harav Yosef Yitzchak Kohen Katzman, to be Mamshich the Farbrengen with Divri Seirus and Divri Zichrenes, Vayam Mehem, and how it's applicable B'zman Hazeh. Harav Katzman.
Chaim. I'm not sure why I was asked to come here and speak. I wasn't by the Rebbe's Chassidishe. My father wasn't by the Chassidishe. My Zaydo wasn't by the Chassidishe. I don't have any first-hand accounts to share. Nor of us. A Bocher taught me a very strong lesson this Simchas Torah. It was Simchas Torah afternoon, and a few Bochrim got on my case. It was after almost 48 hours of drinking. I don't know about dancing, of drinking, of Farbrengen, with בכמה שהנפש הבאמיס כן מקבל sein, can save sein. And no, Farbrengen, say something. And I'm done. And one of the Bochrim Pushat grabbed me and just screamed at me. And he said a statement that I don't know how to respond other than showing up. He said, if you won't say, I won't know. Bashgacha protest, that's the way it is. I was just born a few years earlier. I grew up here. And perhaps I have things to share just from memory. Nothing, Baruch Hashem, I hope nobody here is a mushpa of mine. Because if, yes, then situation's a lot worse than I ever imagined. And bekan yetze kel kere, to alle Chassidim, Anash, Shluchim, Eltere, when they call you from Vaad and they ask you to Farbrengen, please respond positively. Otherwise, you'll end up with me. I mean, it's not like the first time I'm here. Ich schäm sich. it's only because I can't say no for whatever reason. But otherwise, it makes no sense whatsoever. Mitzad Sheni, wir sind dem Rebbe's Kinder. It's a family simcha. Poshet. Der Rebbe gesagt, Krevim, Yedidim, ein guter Freund. המשפחה. So, soon as simcha, poshet. You meet at a simcha, you reminisce. I can't talk about the chassidishe, weil ich weiß nicht, bin ich gewesen. And what is printed, you know better than me. When we grow up, I mean, yeah, you knew dates, but you knew very little about them. So I could say, I'll start with my earliest memory. I mean, relating to Yud Daled Kislev, heißt das. Relating to Yud Daled Kislev, I remember Tovshechoftes. What do I remember? So for starters, from my family, from my house, my parents' house, they sent a bouquet of flowers to the Rebbetzin. I don't know if it was a personal bouquet from the family, or maybe it was representative of Neshei Chabad, I don't know. Lepoil, I was asked to be the shliach to deliver the bouquet of flowers to the Rebbe's house. I was young, but I was what you call a big boy. I was already closer to Bar Mitzvah, and we grew up that the Rebbe's house is off limits. It's out of your tchum. You don't get close to the Rebbe's house. It's private. Even when you used to bagleit the Rebbe, when he went from 770, which usually the Olam would bagleit the Rebbe Shabbos after the Farbrengen, you came to President Street and you stopped. You didn't walk. You didn't walk to the house. The house is off limits. And here I'm asked to go to the Rebbe's house and deliver a bouquet of flowers. I mean, you serious? I'm not going to do it. So I picked on my little sister, who was a few years younger than me, and I took her, come with me. And we went. We came to the house. Came close to the house, not to the house. We came close to the house, and you know, on that block they have some big trees. So I picked myself a tree behind which I can hide. And I told my sister, here, you see this house? Go to this house with the bouquet of flowers and ring on the bell. And she was a good girl, so she listened. And she went. And I hid behind a tree. This is a no-no. And she came to the house, she rang the bell, and sure enough, the Rebbetzin opened the door, and she handed the bouquet of flowers. The Rebbetzin told her, "Warta Weile," and she came out and she gave her $2, a tip, and she said, "Geh kevzach ice cream." This is a memory of an event of Yud Daled Kislev. That same year was our Boim Shona. So I remember this whole pool of tzar that was carrying our Boim and benegate to tzedakah and benegate to kvias and mispar our Boim. And then Thursday night, I believe it was the same kvias like this year. Thursday night, Chassidim went to give the Rebbe bracha. And for some reason, in my mind, I don't think there was like a whole response, b'shas maise. But there was a response Shabbos by the Farbrengen. There was a Farbrengen, which also b'derech klal was lav davke a Farbrengen that Shabbos. And Lekovich Nasar Boim, there was a Farbrengen, and the sichas were dedicated to Shnas Arboim. and the whole Sikha from Va'avorcha Mevorachecha, it kind of, I still have, they printed, the Rebbe was Magia the Sikha, and they printed it in a special format, like the size of Likutei Diburim. Then, they printed the Sikha then, I still have a copy, forgot to bring it. And it made a psaration. I don't know, for some reason, just stuck in my mind, the idea of Avorcha Mevorachecha is verbunden mit Yud Daled Kislev. So, Me'inyan le'inyan be'isa inyan, they mentioned before, when they get to Achonos Yud Aleph Nissen, Ha'ore ba'alma. Af Yud Aleph Nissen, is it Lamed Daled? I believe it's in Lamed Daled. By the Farbrengen, the Rebbe speaks Yud Aleph Nissen, and the Rebbe talks about what is the teichen of Yud Aleph Nissen. What is the teichen for Yud Aleph Nissen? And the Rebbe says in the Sikha, the teichen for Yud Aleph Nissen, is that doch sein Shleishim Yem Lifnei Achag. Hat man gedacht lernen, man hat gedacht zugreiten zu Shleishim Yem Lifnei Achag für Yud Aleph Nissen. Was ist der Teichen von Shleishim Yem Lifnei Achag, die Hilches Achag? Sagt der Rebbe, die alle Siches Aimorim auf dem Inyan von Va'avorcha Mevorachecha. Der Teichen von Yud Aleph Nissen is Va'avorcha Mevorachecha. I mean, just think about it. This is the Rebbe once expressed himself, ich bin a Zinner auf Broches. Mein ganzer Inyan ist Broches. Wir meint nicht Broches, nur auf Panosse mit noch anderen Inyonim. Wir meint auch Broche. Mamshech am Shoches, Gilui Alechkus, und Atzlochin, Avedes HaYadus, Avedes HaShliches. Ein Inyan von Broche. So it's kedai that when we stand between Yud Daled Kislev and Yud Aleph Nissen, we macht Achonos to Yud Aleph Nissen, that we should pay attention to the Inyan of Avorcha Mevorachecha. The Rebbe says this is the teichen of the Yom. And this is what we're preparing for. Das ist gewesen ein Inyan von Yud Daled Kislev Tov Shin Chof Tes. I owe a debt to Rebbe Korf, because even in those years, even if you knew about Yud Daled Kislev, it was still not, Arboim Shonig, even a psashtikl tumul, but to say that every year Yud Daled Kislev came together, I mean, with all due respect, they just spoke about Vu is der Elam, I mean, yeah, it's Akasha. Although rumor has it that Shabbos had dort seine größere Elam, aber Lepel Yud Daled Kislev hat gemerkt seine, ich mag da nicht sagen Kimusser, ich mag sagen, okay, maybe they saw the sign who's speaking, I don't blame them. I'll take the blame. Al Kaponim, aber wer hat getracht, ja, Farbrengen, you know, we had the big dates. Was ich the big dates? Yud Daled Kislev, verbringt doch der Rebbe. When the Rebbe verbringt, you don't need any, mit darf gar nicht. So there was like one date, it was called Yud Kislev. Because Yud Kislev, the Rebbe didn't verbring. So Yud Kislev, there was always a big Farbrengen in Cheder, in Yeshiva. Yud Kislev, the ältere Chassidim verbringt, and the Rebbe verbringt, just the Chassidim verbringen. That was like the Chassidishe date. Yud Daled Kislev, it didn't have the Trask, it didn't have the, I don't know, whatever, as gewesen. Sie war mit nicht gewusst, nicht gewesen, wer hat gewusst. I mean, there was nothing available, there was nothing in print. Today, who doesn't know the Farbrengen of Yud Daled Kislev Tovshin Yud Daled? Wer weiß das nicht? I mean, der Elam chazert das, und wer weiß, dem Stickel, jenem Stickel. But Rebbe Korf, bei ihm hat gebrennt Yud Daled Kislev. And he, every year, would sit with us and would verbringen, verbracht stark. Und fleckt überchasen, die ganzen Sipur, Advorim, wie sein Tate Rebbe ist gegangen nach Heim und erzählt der Rebbe zum Chana, als Bentzion Schemte macht verbringen. Und der Pele der Rebbe verbracht. Und noch ein Verbringen, wenn der Rebbe gekommen zur Rebbe zum Chana, And she told him that she heard from Shia Korf, Bentzion Farbrengen in 770, Lekova the Yud Daled Kislev. Hat der Rebbe sich zerschmeichelt und gesagt, ich verbring und Bentzion kriegt die Kredit. Talmud erzählt die ganze Meise mit dem Wahibi Mecha Schwerisch, mit den ganzen Super Advorim, wie wir sie kommen, wie mit verbracht. And he told us on Nusach, which is interesting. I have not seen it mostly. I saw parts of it and parts of it and parts of it, but a full sentence that of the Hanochas of the Farbrengen, there are different k'toim that are popularized with different gersois. So I remember the way I heard it from opinion. I did not hear it from anybody else. He told us that der Rebbe Tiamut gesagt beim Farbrengen, der Tag hat verbunden mir mit euch und euch mit mir. Ich will euch mattern, ihr wird mir mattern und in einem will mir euch mattern die Geule Schleime. Which is a little different. It's you see the time. Yes, he was there. This is how I remember the Girse that he told us. Hat uns reingetracht in Kopf, der Tag hat verbunden mir mit euch. Ich will euch mattern, ihr wird mir mattern und in einem will mir euch mattern die Geule Schleime. It's a what is there to say? I mean, der Rebbe sagt auf a Tag. Das ist der Tag. I mean, ze hayem. You know, why beat around the bush? Der Rebbe sagt ze hayem, das ist der Tag. I mean, der Rebbe darf haben Yechusim, der Rebbe darf haben Punkt, wie habe ich gesehen, einer hat gefragt, was der Rebbe ist doch geboren, der Rebbe. Dafür haben die Chassene, dafür haben die das, was soll verbinden. Le Peil, aber der Rebbe hat sich gewesen. Für was? Dafür hat sich gewesen, der Metzies. And he drilled into us Yud Daled Kislev, the Teierkeit von Yud Daled Kislev. The next stage of what I would say is Tovshin Lametes, but I don't have much to say. She's Mistama Doido, Shima Drug sagt nicht gewesen da. Aber sie gewesen andere, mehr ernstere Chevre. Ah? Du gehst nicht. Du gehst nicht. Kinelem hast du nicht eingeladen. Kimaschki nicht da. Gehst nicht in Lechaim und heißt, was man soll tun. Schön. Und das willst du feiern, die Family Simcha, Lechaim. Tovshin Lametes, there was just oh, I have to say, let me go back a little, and this is probably a tetzor of this. And also, Yud Aleph Nissen. Sie geht Yud Aleph Nissen. Tovshin Pei Beis. Auf Yud Aleph Nissen, Tovshin Lamed Beis. Wir sind gewähnt junge Inglach, wie sagt der Schleime. Wir sind gewähnt junge Inglach in Oltere. Gewähnt junge Inglach in 770. Wir sind gewähnt junge Inglach in Oltere. Oltere was a scientific lab. It was like a laboratory trying to figure out how to make a yeshiva. And we were the guinea pigs. Al Capone, wir sind dort gewesen. The story was told already, eben Ufik, Bechlolis, it was told. It was the beginning of Tovshin Lamed Beis. Und die kleine Englach haben beschlossen, mit darf etwas tun, sie geht schnas Hashivim. And there was a certain excitement in the air. There was, I don't know what to say. There was a hergesh. The Rebbe geht in Shnas HaShivim. And there was pushed a simcha. There was like a simcha. The heart had gefühlt simcha. The Rebbe werd 70. And Begashmi is, it's, you can explain it. The Friedrich Rebbe didn't make it to 70. Most older Rabbein, besides the Tzemach Tzedek, didn't make it to 70. Und Baruch Hashem, der Rebbe geht zu 70. Jetzt geben Begashmi sa simcha. Aber mit darf doch etwas tun, mit darf sich zugreten. Heintige Zeiten, everybody knows what you gotta do. Der weiß, man darf machen 120 Mesdes, und der weiß, man darf haben 1200 Mesdes, und der weiß. Und da geht das, jeder einer weiß Punkt, wie und was man darf tun. Und da kann es schon durchgegangen, genug Zeit, und der Rebbe hat gesagt, man lernt sich schon muss, und man weiß, was man darf tun. Man darf nicht jeden Mal. But in those years, nicht, dass jemand das sagte. The first question was, who are you? Wer bist du zu gehen, machen, ja machen, nicht machen, Maskones, Takones, Minhogim, Achones, wer bist du? Mechader sein Chidushim was an absolute no-no. Was ist das? Wer kommt auf da neue Sachen? Hat man auch viele Mädchen gehabt, reden mit dem Aspim. Reden mit einem Holler, rüberbringen, mit gleich gewusst, dass sie nicht zu reden. Was da machen, neue Psmeises, Shivim Shona, Achones, Meis. Ist die junge Engler haben gemacht, Sife. Was sagst du? Schon Zeit, dass du es lernen, aber I'll teach you. Call me tomorrow. We have to make achones for Yud Nissen. Was macht man achones? Die Kinder, ja, die Kinder. Ja, 13, 14, 15. Yeah. And you have to make achones. And there were no Likutei Sichos, there was nothing. And I have to make a machoe for those years. There was no Likutei Sichos then. The weekly contrasim, as they came, they went. Almost like today, the Lahak HaNoches, until you wait for the Sefer. But then, either you learned it that Shabbos and that was it. I mean, if you wanted to go back on a Sicha, there was no website. And Likutei Sichos, there were 4 Chalokim. Und ich mache machoe that we did not learn Likutei Sichos Aleph Beis Gimel Daled. And I feel it's a pesha. I think from 5th grade, every child must learn Aleph Beis Gimel Daled. Does you say this Hayadus, you say this Chassidus? Especially in those years, there was nothing else. Was nicht kein Teretz, nicht Lambetes Krochim, wo du, wo du willst lernen Lomdes, oder du willst lernen Rasha, oder du willst lernen Tifin Yonim Chassidus. Learn Poshet Basics. Lernen sich aus wie zu sein Ayid, komm mit alle vor. So I am Meche, Borabim, that we were not for then, Lemafreya, und ich bin sich mischanen ala habo, that it should become part of the curriculum of every Mesed of ours, boys and girls, that han nicht haben kein Problem mit Yiddish. When you're going to learn Chelek Aleph Beis Gimel Daled in 4th and 5th grade, es to sein Chassidishe Read, and you know how to talk a word Yiddish also. Al Koponim, since there was no Likutei Sichos, so the Hachlota was, Amidaf lernen Mispar Shivim, Blatt Gemore, and Mamore Chassidus. There was nothing else. I mean, was it you can't climb? I personally, remember, I took upon myself 70 Amudim Gemore. It was 35 Blatt. And 70 Asias in Kuntres Umayim. Right? Das ist gewesen mein personal Kabbalah for Achone for Yud Nissen. What do you do now? Mit gemachte Achlote, alles good and fine, but we need to get it over to the Rebbe. How do you do that? Schreiben. Man hat gezittert wie Fisch. Schreiben dem Rebbe, a Bochrim, gemachte Achlote, machen Achones für Yud Nissen. Ich kann noch chappen in mir im Kopf, wer seid ihr, mir werdet euch gegeben die Eizel, und werdet euch, mit wem es Reschuss hat. I'm giving you a thinking of those days. We were afraid to send in a letter through Maskiris. I mean, there was like, we made achlote that the next boy who goes into Yechidus V'Yimuledes, he is going to bring it into the Rebbe. So he is going in Yechidus for himself, and in his pocket he's going to have another zettel. And that zettel was very generic. It didn't say Hachlotes LeYud Nissen, Chas V'Sholem. It was only a list of names, and they took upon themselves, this guy's 70 Blat Gemara, 70 Maimori, whatever it is, just from the Mispar, obviously the Rebbe will know what it's about. But not in form of achlotas. When the Bocher went in, who was the Zeicher to go in Yechidus? Was Fitchi Itkin from Pittsburgh. And he went into Yechidus, and he pulled out his zettel, and he gave it to the Rebbe. And the Rebbe tells him, as das, was du schreibst, wegen Schnas HaShivim, I mean, I'm not saying the Loshen exact, aber der Teichen, das, was du sagst, wegen Schnas HaShivim, ist a gleiche Sach, mehem yiru v'chein yasu. I mean, you don't read the derher? I believe it was written up in the derher. I don't think so. The way I remember, mod gezittert. It was a pachad. And you can imagine when the boche kommt aris from Yechidus mit azam entfer, this started a fire. Based on that, when it came other dates, hat man allemal gewusst. I mean, then there's the Sikh of Purim, where the Rebbe clearly defines it, darf sein Tzedakah und die Medatere. Based on that, came Yud Daled Kislev Lametes, v'chulu. And this was, other people I know spoke about it. Al Kaponim, the Rebbe says, helfen soll sein Yedidim, soll sein Waohבים, soll sein Bnei Mishpoche. Und wie der Rebbe sagt, mir sich mechazek einer dem Zweiten, mir soll sich mechazek sein. Poshet mechazek sein in Iskashas zum Rebbe und ausführen, was der Rebbe will. V'hoye lechenu kemimius la'atzein olchaim.
Yossi, take over? You want to take over? You want to take over? Mancha. Beheira Yisham Aviyare Yehuda V'chutzes L'chaim. Rabbi Katzman, you still here? Behemshech to what Rabbi Yosef was mentioned, Benegea the Yechidus with Fitcher Itken. I recently heard from my uncle Yitzchak, who in Zayin Nissen Tafshelamed Beis, just a week before Yud Daled Nissen, he went in Yechidus for Yom Moledus together with my grandfather, Rabbi David Raskin. And he told me the following. Among the things which the Rebbe was discussing with him and his father, the Rebbe turned to him and the Rebbe asked him, "Vos fara matana gist du mir from my Yom Moledus?" So he says, 14 Blat Gemara Baal Peh. And the Rebbe continued to ask, from welche Masechta? And he answered from Kedushin. And it was Nicker and the Rebbe's Helik upon him, as Svias Ratzin and Menachas Ruach. So we see from this Maisa that the Rebbe himself bet moved by the Purim Farbrengen Lamed Beis. The Rebbe asked Barabim, but we see in these Maislach how much the Rebbe gemont from Chassidim to bring matanas for Yud Daled Nissen. Before we call upon the next and final speaker of the formal part of the Farbrengen, I would just like to thank B'Shem the Ma'arganim Mendel of the Beis Chabad at the Ohel, Rabbi Pearson, and the staff at the Ohel for making tonight's Farbrengen possible, and Hatamim Yisrael Slanim for all of his dedicated work and making tonight's Farbrengen possible with the speakers, with everyone else in between the speakers. V'chulu. Another thing just to mention, at 2:30, this Farbrengen will continue after Rabbi Scharf speaks, but at 2:30, we'll have to leave this the third tent and go to the Mr. K trailer or the Zal because the Balabatim here need to clean for a program which is happening tomorrow morning. So for everyone at 2:30 can end the Farbrengen here and move on to the transfer the Farbrengen from here to the other locations by the Ohel, which I'm sure will go until the Era Baker. One last thing to mention before we call upon the next speaker. Bechlal, by the Rebbe, the Mispar Boyim was always a gewaltige milestone. We were discussing earlier about the Tafshin Chavtes, when the Shnas Arboim from the Rebbe's Yom Nisuin, that the Rebbe Farbrengen and the Chassidim gave matanis and the number of $40, $40 in Limudim, in davening and everything, with a number of 40. This year, there's a big Hiseridus in honor of our Boyim Shana from Tafshin Mem Beis, Sushturim in the A specific Torah, which I don't think there's one Farbrengen throughout the year of Tafshin Mem Beis, but the Rebbe doesn't discuss it. And as the Yemei Chanukah is approaching, in Kemuvon, everyone will be on Chanukah Mivtzaim with the ganzen Shturim, from Pasum and Nisa, v'chulu. It's a appropriate time as you light Menorah with families. Sai with the parents, and Sai with the kids, and Sai in shops, and Sai in wherever it may be, to sign up these Yidden with an A specific Torah. Especially now, many people are looking for different schools, for Hatzalah, for Shmira, everything in regards to that, which in the Sichas, the Rebbe speaks very sturmdik about, that it's a school for Shmira, for Gesund, in all in Brachis. So it's really totally in every single one of us to go with the rest of the Shturim and ton an A specific Torah. And in order to find out more information and to get the forms and everything, there's a website, sefertora.org.il. That's sefertora.org.il. And anyone watching online, anyone here present in person can find over there all of these forms in languages, English and Hebrew and Russian and French and Spanish, and it's something that obviously is Kadesh Yasa, and every single person should do. Call Shetolibay in order to have every single Yid, was nach Yidden as possible, signed up as an ace in a Sefer Torah. This is not only referring to the children's Sefer Torah, which is more popular, but it's also referring to a specific Torah, HaKlali, which the Rebbe, as mentioned before, started, if I'm not mistaken, earlier Rosh Hashanah, Tafshin Mem Beis, and it went on above Tishrei in the Michtav Klali from that year, from Tishrei, and throughout the entire year, Yud Daled Kislev, which is playing in the first house, the Rebbe spoke many occasions on this mitzvah of signing up as many Yidden possible in the A specific Torah. So with that said, we'd like to call upon the next speaker, Mashpia in Yeshivas Lubavitch, Detroit, the Mendel Scharf, to continue the Farbrengen with David Yisraelus in Inyanim Hayetzim Min Alev Nichnasim El Alev, which Rabbi Scharf is known to do. Can move on in Ka'omar. Before we said that Yud Daled Kislev is a talk from the המשפחה, and as many as Kidu Alakil, Rabbi Scharf was zeiche to many Meridik Keruvim, as a child from the Rebbe in a very fatherly manner. So it's only very masim to ask Rabbi Scharf zu mitteilen a paar Wörter, Lechava Yud Daled Kislev, und die Mamschich zu verbringen. Harav Mendel Scharf.
So man hat nicht fertig. L'chaim v'livracha. L'chaim, l'chaim. Yeah, okay. The first thing I think that we have, it's just from sitting here, what's going on in the dining rooms and the living rooms, ich weiß nicht. But from sitting here, so the erste Sach, darf man me'eurer sein, it's a pelle, but, no, darf me'eurer sein, that on a day like Yud Daled Kislev, and the Rebbe speaks in the Farbrengens and a few times, that we have to, that when it comes to this Kislev, we have to find an Emcee, how to make sure that even though Yud Daled Kislev happened so many years ago, by the Alte Rebbe and the Deir Rishon of Chabad, the Rebbe would refer to the Ovis of Chabad, the Alte Rebbe, the Mittler Rebbe, the Tzemach Tzedek. But we have to find a way that in Deir Shvi we should realize that Yud Daled Kislev is not an alte Zach, but Yud Daled Kislev is negea to us, and it's our Yom Tiv, and it's a personal inyan. So the Rebbe speaks all the inyanim. You could look in all the Farbrengens from Tavshin Yud Aleph until Tavshin Nun Beis. But al Kopanim, benegea to Yud Daled Kislev, the Cha'ira darf nicht ankommen, to abavaren nicht, it's Yud Daled Kislev. Yud Daled Kislev is not only unser Tag, the whole Metzies, unser ganze Metzies is connected to Yud Daled Kislev. So the Cha'ira Yud Daled Kislev, before we said L'chaim, should have, there's two Eifanim of saying L'chaim. One Eifan of saying L'chaim is a person is, he's in a rot, he's say, in a winkel, and you have to schlep him out, and you have to bring him in. So you have to say L'chaim a little bit, so maybe you'll be able to get out of your what's it called. But then there's another type of L'chaim. There's a L'chaim that a person says when he's marrying off a son. There's a L'chaim that a person says by his own simcha. The L'chaim is not in order to bring him to a point of simcha. The L'chaim is zu lieb dem simcha. So man darf sich hereinlegen in the minyan. We saw in the Sikha that the Rebbe, we heard in the Sikha that the Rebbe spoke in Yud Daled Kislev Lamed Tes, that there has to be a little bit of das. If there's a little bit of das, so then it accomplishes Ave, Ve'yiris, all connected to Yud Daled Kislev. So the Eilam should say L'chaim, and the Eilam should sing Anigin, and the Eilam should get involved. It almost looks like there's props. Yes, that there has to be a video of a Farbrengen of Yud Daled Kislev, so we put up some tables and we bring some people. Chevre, it's Yud Daled Kislev. L'chaim, l'chaim. Too much to be moisif on everything is darf man nicht. But just a small, short nekuda. In the Sikha from Yud Daled Kislev, Tavshin Yud Daled, when the Rebbe speaks about, this is the Tag, was hat verbunden, mir mit Eich, mir verbunden mit Eich und Eich mit mir, the different Neschoes. And the Rebbe finishes off
that together, in other words, what's the nekuda, what's the point, what's the goal? Was gateman. The Lashon that the Rebbe quotes that the Friedrich Rebbe said by the Chassidishe in Tavreish Beites, was gateman. Was gateman. This whole Inyan, men geht auf ein Sach, the Rebbe says. It's all that zusammen mit men Eismater in the Geula, amit es war Shlomo, the Inyan of bringing Moshiach. The Inyan of bringing Moshiach. Like the Rebbe says in the Sikha of the Kinos Hashluchim, Tavshin and Beis, in the Mugadik Sikha also it's brought down that there's only one Moshiach. There's one Moshiach. So Al Kopanim, in this past Shabbos, Pashas Vayetze, which is Tes Kislev. So there's a Sikha from the Rebbe from Pashas Vayeshev, Tavshin and Beis. It's a very famous Sikha. And this year is 30 years since the Rebbe said the Sikha, which makes the Geshrei of the Sikha 30 years stronger. And what does the Rebbe say in the Sikha? The Rebbe speaks in the Sikha, the famous Werte, was the Rebbe had gesagt, Ohel Arichus, the whole Hemshach of the Sikha, of the Chibur, of Elyon, and Tachtin, and Gashmis, and Ruchnis. But what's the of Helim and Gili? What's the Nukud in the end? The Nukud is that all the Inyanim are ready. All the Inyanim are ready. So, was darf man yet on? So the Rebbe says the only thing that's left is that, I'm paraphrasing in English, the only thing that's left is that we have to open up our eyes and we have to see that the Seudah of Moshiach is ready. The Livyasin, the Sheirabar, and we're sitting by Shulchan Aviyim, who is Aviyim, is the Eibishter, together with Moshiach Tzidkeinu, which is Nesidereinu. This is all in the Sikha. I once saw someone wrote this thing, and wrote this, the Rebbe said this, but I don't know what it means. But the Pelle is, the Rebbe sagt doch weiter, was es meint. What does it mean to effen in the Egen? And the emes is not only weiter, it's the whole Teuchen of the Sikha. Was meint es to effen in the Egen? The Rebbe says in the Sikha, in the Mugadik Sikha, it's right there. You don't have to start figuring out, so what does it mean and what does it not mean? It's not a slogan, it's a very deep avodah. Maybe even a shver avodah, but the Nukud of the Sikha is that it's not shver because it's all there. All we have to do is be megalit. How do we come to this Nukudah? Leiv Lodas, in Naim Liris, there's Naim Lishmoya, is Mendav, Poshet, learn and Teira, Bechlal, but especially we have to learn Chassidis. We have to learn Chassidis, and if you learn Chassidis, so then you're going to see the emes. You have to be megalit, you have to do Pa'ulis, as the Rebbe says weiter, you have to do Pa'ulis to be megalit, this Inyan, which is already ready. That the Gashmius is already mezukach, and the Gashmius is already a keli for what? For Getlichkeit. There's already a keli for Mashiach. So how do you do that? This is all the Rebbe. I'm just repeating what the Rebbe says. The Rebbe, it's Tes Kislev, the Rebbe emphasized the Chassidus of the Mittel Rebbe, which is interesting already in Cheshvan, the whole Arichus. Dafke ben get to the Chassidus of the Mittel Rebbe. And we have to do it in such a oifen. The Rebbe says, Meure dike Werte. And this is... the Rebbe says that the Warmkeit and the Chassidishkeit has to express itself. This is the words of the Rebbe. It's not... it's not the Hashmata even. It's not what they figured out by Chassidishe Farbrengen. It's the Rebbe's Werte, we can effen in the Sikha. That the Warmkeit and the Chassidishkeit has to come out, not only in Inyanim Ruchnim, but Pashat Begashmis. In your Gashmis, the Inyanim has to be expressed. That's the whole Inyan of Chibur, of Gashmis and Ruchnis has to be expressed. The Inyan of your Warmkeit and your Chassidishkeit and your Yiddishkeit. So in 30 Jahren was the Rebbe geredet that everything is sitting here and everything is ready and everything is prepared. Und alles ist schon ausgeedelt. We don't even have to take the Gashmius, a grobe Gashmius, and make it edel. The grobe Gashmius is schon nicht grob. Es ist schon ausgeedelt. That's the Rebbe's Werte in the Sikha. What do we have to do? We have to do the little avodah. Not always so easy, but we have to do the last step. What's the last step? That in our Gashmius, when we're dealing with Gashmius and we're involved with Gashmius, also has to be expressed. And also has to come out the Warmkeit and the Chassidishkeit. All the Inyanim must learn in Chassidis. So, man darf sehen, Thomas der Rebbe hat gerät wegen in dem Sicher, was ist da Indien, in der Farbrengen, which is before Yud Daled Kislev, which is the Indien of the Ufruf. Und zusammen darf man ausmachen in der Geula mit es war Shlomo, und der Rebbe sagt, wie man kann ausmachen in der Geula mit es war Shlomo dafke today, and dafke already in this step, in this stage where we're holding. Und der Ebesh soll Tage helfen, that the Indien was, the hiskashrus that we have to the Rebbe. This is the tag was man hat mir verbunden mit Teich, which this Indian is for sure betochfoi, in the strongest way possible, as the Rebbe writes already in the letter in Tovshin Yudalev, that even if im Timtze Leime that a chassid will say Rachman al-Islan shahava mine, that maybe I'm ready to take a break. So the Rebbe writes in the letter that if it would be that you are mekusha to the Rebbe, so then you could take a break. Oh, but the Rebbe halt on in there. It doesn't work that way. So there's no such a thing that you're going to take a break. Mitzad das, was man mir verbunden mit Tag, was der Rebbe halt on. Auf jeder Chassid. The Rebbe is holding on to every single one of us. And there's nothing we could do, not that Chassidishe Farbrengen would want to do, but there's nothing we could do to take away that his kashrus, was der Rebbe halt on in jeder eine von uns. And there's another side. The Rebbe didn't stop there. The Rebbe said that we are connected to the Rebbe in Yud Daled Kislev. So we have to make sure that begolui, there's the hiskashrus that we have to the Rebbe should be begolui. The hiskashrus to the Rebbe has to be in every single inyan, not in the certain inyanim that we choose as dorten, but das ausdrücken unser hiskashrus. The hiskashrus von Rebbe darf sein in jeder Prat von Leben. That's the Nekuda. Was the Rebbe sagt in the Sicher, that the Warmkeit and the Chassidishkeit has to come out in every inyan, even in your Dvarim Gashmim. Darf man sehen, als du bist der Chassid von Rebbe, wenn du esst und wenn du schlafst und wenn du gehst und wenn du tragst, when you get dressed, when you talk. Wenn man balbet, darf man sehen, als das balbet der Chassid von Rebbe. Which is it's a stira minei bayas. Du bist a chassid, balbest du nicht. Akopanim, der Eberste soll helfen, ist Yud Daled Kislev, der Eberste soll helfen, als man soll sicher sein, zu sehen dem Rebbe be'enei Basar Mamish, und der Rebbe wird uns herausführen von Golus und hereinführen in die Geula Amit, es war Shlomo l'chaim v'livracha.
As mentioned earlier, the Farbrengens will continue here, and then at 2:30, we'd like to ask everyone to please help clean the third tent up, and then we will transfer ourselves over to the Mr. K trailer and to the Zal. Again, a Grace Yashikech for all those who made tonight's Farbrengen happen, possible. And the Grace Yashikech to Shmerio Hackner in the back, who broadcasts this Farbrengen for Chassidim worldwide. Chassidim, nothing can separate us, benefesh and beruchnius, and thank you, Rabbi Hackner, for making that happen. L'chaim, Rabbi Hackner, should be zeichet to many more of these Farbrengens. You can close the camera now. I think